All right, so everyone, welcome back to another episode of the CV Update. The New England Patriots began Week 11 of the 2021 NFL season with a 25-0 win over the Atlanta Falcons at Mercedes-Benz Stadium back on Thursday night to improve to 7-4 for their fifth straight win. And for now, move up to the 5 seed in the AFC playoff picture, as well as remaining just a half game back behind the Buffalo Bills for the top spot in the AFC East division. We will discuss this win, as well as talk about some of the other interesting matchups across the AFC this week. And we have a stacked panel of experts today. As joining me for today's episode are Pratik Sinha, Rohan Venkatesh, and Ujan Talukdar. How are you all doing right now? And Anirban Chakraborty will be joining in a little bit, but guys, welcome onto the show. How are you all doing?
Doing good. It's good to be back.
Good to be here as usual, man. Can't complain after 25-0 Patriots win, except they got a tough test ahead of them. But we'll get to that later on.
Yeah, well, a shutout is a shutout, and it's nice when the Falcons miss a field goal to keep a shutout, right? So you can only beat what's in front of you. So, and I'll take whatever win by any margin.
Exactly. I mean, 5 straight wins at this point. I mean, this is a real pattern now. Like, this isn't just 1 win in a row, 2 wins in a row. This is 5 wins in a row now. And the defense is terrific. It's been terrific, right? The last 3 weeks, 13 points in the last 3 games. And let's just talk about Mac Jones a little bit first, the quarterback. He was 22 of 26, 207 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Interception was not a good play at all. He was sacked 3 times. And in addition, it was also Ramondre. Okay, just one thing when I think the echo is sort of there. So anytime like when you guys are not talking, just make sure to mute the mic. Unless you, yeah, okay, that's a lot better. Thank you. But yeah, just some quick statistics. Ramondre Stevenson, 12 carries for 69 yards, 1 catch for 6 yards. Damian Harris, 10 carries for 56 yards, 1 catch for 9 yards. Kendrick Bourne was the leading receiver, 4 catches for 42 yards, 1 carry for 7 yards. Nelson Aguilar, he scored the touchdown of the game, the only offensive touchdown, 5 catches for 40 yards with the touchdown. Jacoby Myers, 4 catches for 39 yards. And I just wanted to go over the Falcons' key stats. So Matt Ryan, 19 of 28, 153 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So in comes Josh Rosen, 1 for 3, and he throws a pick 6 to Kyle Van Noy for a touchdown that made it 25-0. So that's it, right, for the Falcons? No. So Felipe Franks comes in, first pass of the game, intercepted by Adrian Phillips. So the Falcons had 3 quarterbacks throw 4 interceptions, which is remarkable in a way. So that's pretty cool. So,
hey, at least they had a wealth of something.
And joining us late is Anirban Chakraborty. And Anirban, how are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for waiting for me. And I do want to mention one thing. We can roast the Jets all we want, but at least their backup quarterbacks have absolutely stellar games when they come in the season. So something to think about. Maybe Falcons should make a move for Mike White.
Ooh, interesting proposal. So anyways, but let's just talk about this win. So, I mean, this is a big win. I mean, 5 straight, and the Patriots improved to 5-0 on the road. It is, so they've been playing well on the road. And I don't know, what are the main takeaways? So let's start with you, Pratik.
I mean, I love the way the defense is playing right now. Last 3 games, gave up a total of 13 points, gave up 6 to the Panthers, 7 to the Browns, none to the Falcons. And these are all pretty solid teams, like offensively. Like they've got Matt Ryan, he's a great quarterback, former MVP. I mean, yeah, the Falcons definitely, they had weapons, but I don't know, something about the Patriots defense at Mercedes-Benz. It's like they the Super Bowl a couple years ago, like they just don't like giving up touchdowns there. And yeah, it really all kind of fell apart for the Falcons at the end there. They put in Rosen, hoping to get a spark from the young guy. He was a top pick in 2018, didn't do great. And then Felipe Franks, who I always kind of liked him because I watched him play at Florida in college, and he was a solid prospect. But yeah, his first career pass attempt, yeah, that he's gonna have to bounce back quickly. But yeah, no, I'm really encouraged by the Patriots. Mac Jones was solid. Mac Jones was not incredible, but that's what you want from a rookie, just a guy who's gonna not make mistakes. And I think he did get intercepted once. Is that
He got intercepted. That was not a good play. Like Harry was actually wide open, and instead he really kind of forced to throw to Jonnu Smith, who was in coverage, and AJ Terrell of the Falcons made a nice play on that. But I also just wanted to point out one thing, Pratik, because you were talking about the Falcons offense, and that's actually a pretty excuse me, good offense. Last week, or like a solid offense. Last week against the New Orleans Saints, they scored 27 points. The Saints have a pretty stingy defense. So
yeah, I think the injury to Cordero Patterson really hurt them because he was doing really well there. They got blown out by the Cowboys too.
That was last week. The week before they beat New Orleans. You're right. Yes, you're correct.
Yeah, so they've but they still have like Matt Ryan's a good quarterback. They have Russell Gage. They've got some decent players. So I was really impressed that the Patriots got the shutout. So yeah, now it's on to Tennessee.
Yeah, Ujan, what are your thoughts?
Well, it was really, for the most part, like if I had to rate it out of 10, I'd probably say 9. I'll take off 1 point because of the interception. As Pratik mentioned, it's really not that throw just kind of felt forced. It was kind of away from what Mac Jones likes to do on this offense, which is just throw short passes. He tried to hit, I guess, not really a home run ball, but like a medium range pass, but wasn't really there. And like I said, he just tried to force it. And of course, it led to a big return on the interception run. But of course, it didn't lead to any points. So, but like overall, I thought it was a well-balanced attack. Like you had Damian Harris from Andre Stevenson running the ball well. And at the same time, you're having a very nice passing attack as well with Kendrick Bourne making plays, Nelson Aguilar with the touchdown, Hunter Henry making a few catches, but he didn't get the end zone this time, but he can't get in the end zone every time, right? So, like I said, I thought it was a good game. And of course, when you're able to get down into field goal range on almost every drive and come away with points most of the time.
Yeah, I think Aguilar and Henry are pretty much gelling together, right? They're forming this like formidable partnership with Mac Jones, and I feel like Mac Jones is kind of struggling to find his groove earlier on, but I think now he's kind of found his passing game, right? And he can really mix it up, right? Sometimes he can go short, sometimes he can go long, and of course, on those third down plays, and of course there were a lot of those early on, right? They did get some help, right? So there were a couple of pass interference calls early on, but then afterwards, like he kind of like got into this groove where like he could make a long pass when necessary, when like it was like third and long or any kind of long range situation like that. But he can mix up the short plays, the long plays, and the passing game as well as handing it off to his running back. So like the Pats offense has really been gelling, and that's really an understatement, because you got to really give it to the defense, right? Doing a shutout last time and really like holding opposing offenses to like not even like this time a shutout, and last time also like very, very few yards given up, and so I think it's just been an overall all-out comprehensive performance. And these are not against weak teams. The real test is going to come up next week when they're up against the 8-2 Titans. We're going to know later on if they're still 8-2 later today. But either way, with the league leading team like the Titans, the Pats are going to have their work cut out for them. And yes, the Patriots are getting stronger. Are they long-term contenders? I'm about to get there. I think I'm about to accept that, but I'm not quite there just yet.
We'll get to that. Yep. Yeah. We'll get into whether or not we buy the Patriots as contenders or pretenders or somewhere in between. But yeah, Anirban, I just want to hear your thoughts too. Like, what was your main takeaway? Like, do you think, like, obviously all of us agree this is like a nice win, 25 points on the road, but like, how big of a win was this overall? Like in terms of impressiveness and like quality, everything.
I'd say, I agree with Ujan that I'd probably give it like a 9 out of 10. I mean, we all know the Falcons are currently battling their own demons. And again, with Cordell Patterson out, the Patriots are one of the worst places for a tight end to play. And it was no different here. I mean, we saw absolutely smothering coverage on Kyle Pitts throughout this entire game, which, Bill Belichick is known for taking your player and getting rid of him. I mean, setting the tone even really early. I remember one of the first plays, like throughout the middle to Pitts, and Patrick Chung, who's like a safety, just was covering him so well that he just couldn't get his hands on it. And Pitts had like 29 yards in the entire game. So the Falcons had their own problems, but again, I think our defensive formations were fantastic. I was actually watching I know Kurt Warner has like a NFL film study show on YouTube where he actually does special show on the Patriots defense against the Falcons. And I mean, I always think it's interesting when a former player of his stature is explaining things. And what he really focused on was the flexibility of a lot of our players, like be it Juwan Bentley or Dante Hightower, and their capacity to play either defensive end or more in a linebacker position, or even on as a kind of on the outer side. And then I guess what Kurt Warner's observation was that the flexibility of our players and the formations they can take is what makes it so difficult for defenses, right? So we can have players like Bentley, we can have like two players on the line, and maybe one person's job is to, depending on which way the passer is going, one person can drop back, one person can go in. And the way it worked against Matt Ryan was that we just kept pressuring him so much that even when there were options available for him to throw to, you couldn't actually see them properly because the plays had to happen in such a fast time because of the way we were basically kind of adjusting to what he did in live. So I thought that was like, I totally recommend anyone to watch that video. I thought it was really helpful, and he'll definitely explain it better than I can. But I think that was great. And I also think, our offense did what it needed to. I was really happy. I'm sure you'll have things on Ramondre Stevenson. I think he is emerging as kind of the quality backs a lot of us were hoping for when we first drafted him this season. And that's been kind of a nice emergence, actually, because I think he wasn't really on many people's radar outside of Patriots fans entering this year. And now I think he definitely should be. But another thing, I just, again, thought, Mac Jones, I'm sure we'll get to this, had a relatively, maybe more of a quiet game. I mean, he had a great touchdown to Nelson Aguilar, which I thought was a fantastic, because that actually came as a short pass, right? That was like a short pass where the Falcons kind of had, I guess they had two safeties who just were expecting a deep ball, but he just passed it like a 10-yard gain to Nelson Aguilar, who just had acres of space to then turn around and run into. So, the whole thing about short passes, like I think that was a great example of how that can really work in your favor with a good player like Aguilar, and especially in like a blown coverage situation. So I was really happy with that. I think it gives us a lot of momentum going into the week against the Titans. And I think the Patriots are now getting a lot of respect now as not only a team with one of the best defenses in the league, but also a genuine contender in the AFC. I think that's a narrative that is emerging, and I think it's justified.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with that. Like, I think the defense, I mean, if we really go back to the last like 6 games now, since like the last game that defense didn't record an interception was the Texans game, which was week 5. So it's been like Dallas, they had an interception. They had a couple against the Jets, like 3 probably, against Mike White and Zach Wilson when they played the second time, the 54-13 game. And then what else? There was after the Jets, they played LA, they had a pick 6. And that's actually the trend of the pick 6. 3 of their last 4 games now, the defense has recorded an interception and returned it for a touchdown. And the one game they didn't, against Cleveland, Kyle Duggar returned the interception to the Browns 5-yard line, and Ramondre Stevenson punched the ball in. So the defense has been very good at not just getting the turnover, but also capitalizing on the turnover and essentially giving the Patriots an excellent chance to score, if not score a touchdown. So I think that's been a terrific trend. And going into Tennessee, we'll talk about Tennessee more next week when we do a preview for this game. But Ryan Tannehill, wouldn't you guys say he's kind of in the same lump as these quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield? Justin Herbert. I'd say Justin Herbert's better than Ryan Tannehill. So Tannehill's definitely like Matt Ryan. I think Tannehill falls under that category of a quarterback. Would you guys agree? Like, Pratik, you're nodding your head. So yeah, like you agree. Like, I mean, Tannehill isn't like any like great quarterback. He's a solid game manager, right?
Yeah, and I'm honestly surprised that without Derrick Henry, the Titans have actually managed to win a couple games. They beat the Rams in LA. That was shocking on Sunday Night Football. Like, they went in, they were up by 28-9 for most of the game. The Rams got a garbage time touchdown. But I think at some point Ryan Tannehill will return to the Ryan Tannehill that we're used to seeing. Like, he's not a great thrower, and he's now missing a couple weapons. We can get into that when we preview the Titans game, but he doesn't strike fear into the hearts of opposing defenses. I can say that.
Yeah, like the wild card loss in 2019, right? To the Titans, the Patriots lost. I mean, in that game, it was Derrick Henry who's really leading that offense, and he's injured right now. And Tannehill really just essentially just completed like short passes that game. He did that same thing as the Ravens, and then they couldn't. It didn't work against the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. So what I'm basically trying to say is like the defense is definitely capable of having another strong game. I think against Ryan Tannehill, like, and especially with Henry out. But yeah, again, like we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But what I was trying to just say is like I think the defense is definitely rolling now. Like you can say 5 straight games, the defense has played well, and yeah, I think it's definitely going on the upward trend. So I don't know. Is there anyone else like wanting to talk anything else about this game? I guess it wasn't that much to talk about. This was just domination.
Like, I guess if the Pats defense has really shown anything against strong offenses, it's that they can very likely take down an offense like the Titans as well.
Exactly. And I just also wanted to say like the interceptions, like because initially this was a 13-0 game. And believe it or not, the first of the 4 interceptions actually came in the fourth quarter. It was actually by Devin McCourty. And at the time, Atlanta was driving. It was still 13-0. So the game was not decided at that point. And Devin McCourty actually intercepted the first interception of the game. The first interception came by Devin McCourty, the Patriots safety, from Matt Ryan at the Patriots 22-yard line. And I was still a little bit nervous at that point, and then McCourty got the interception. Then I started feeling a lot better. And also credit to the kicker, the kicking game. Folk was excellent again. I mean, obviously the extra point at the end was unfortunate, but you know what? I mean, he was terrific otherwise. So, I mean, the special teams has been playing terrific as well. Jake Bailey had a very strong game, pinning the Falcons consistently deep in their own end zone and kind of making it really tough for them to get anything going. So all around, just a terrific game by the Patriots, offense, defense, special teams. As Bill Belichick says, all 3 phases of the game were terrific. So yeah, that was a great matchup. And normally, as you guys know in the podcast, we will usually cover the Patriots next game. But since our next game is next week, instead we're going to change it up a little bit today. We're going to talk about the other playoff picture. But before that, does anyone else want to talk about this? I don't before I move on. Anirban, Ujan, Pratik, Rohan, anything else?
Just like one quick point too. I think again, I know I was just talking about flexibility on the defense, but I think this year a key ingredient for our success has been the flexibility on our offense, and especially in terms of the running backs, right? Like if you told me at this stage of the season, maybe like at the very beginning, that we wouldn't have even really thought to mention James White's name in the last like 5 or 6 weeks, right? We were all talking about Trent Brown for the first 3 weeks, how bad our offensive line was. We haven't heard a whisper of him either, right? I mean, I was just looking at now that both, for example, Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson are back, right? Stevenson had 5.8 yards per carry against Atlanta, and then Damian had 5.6 yards per carry, right? So we have flexibility in that position. We have a player like Brandon Bolden, who's more the receiving running back that James White was. And it's just really great to see that we have that kind of depth where, there's so many teams that you can think of like the Panthers, right, where you lose your top weapon, then suddenly they're just really rudderless, right? I think their record without McCaffrey was like 1-4 or something. So I think that's really a great testament to our, I guess it is a good testament to our recruitment strategy and our ability to really get away with what's a really tough position, right? A lot of teams, when they lose their top running back, they're going to really struggle. And I think we've been able to build a really deep roster with a lot of quality pieces. And I think that's something that is coming to emerge, particularly this stage of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Stevenson has been a terrific draft addition. And I just also like to mention from this past draft, Mac Jones, number 1, like first round, right? And then Christian Barmore. He has been awesome this season so far. Christian Barmore was in the 2nd round, and now Ramondre Stevenson in the 4th round. 3 high impact players from the draft. And not just that, in free agency, Matthew Judon, absolute beast. Terrific. Like one of the best free agent additions this team has probably made in a long, long time. Probably not since Stephon Gilmore on the defensive side of things. So, I mean, all around, I mean, this was a big offseason. Like we're seeing the, and just also one thing to note, because I forgot how we forgot this, but the Patriots are now 7-4, right? Last season, they won 7 games, 7-9. They've already matched their win total from last season. So it kind of shows you that the team has really improved and it's on the upward trend. But yeah, so that's kind of it. So yeah, I mean, all around a terrific week. So let's just talk about the AFC playoff picture a little bit now. So I'm just going to quickly give off the playoff standings and seeding. So number one, as mentioned, the Tennessee Titans, they are 8-2 going into today. They play the Houston Texans. Number two, the Buffalo Bills, 6-3, but they play the Indianapolis Colts. Number three, the Baltimore Ravens, without Lamar Jackson, though, they are also 6-3. Number four, the Kansas City Chiefs, 6-4. Five are the Patriots, who are 7-4. Six right now are the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 5-3-1, and they face the 7th seed Los Angeles Chargers tonight, who are 5-4, and on a Sunday Night Football matchup. So let's just talk about. We're just going to cover some of the key matchups for today. So number one is the Buffalo Bills versus the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, that one matters a little bit more, just because the Bills are leading the AFC East and the Patriots are just a half game back. So let's talk about this game first a little bit. We're just going to do a panel of predictions and sort of, I guess, what we are hoping to see. So Pratik, what are you expecting from the Bills Colts game? What do you want to see?
Well, what I want to see is that the Colts win, because then that would put the Patriots into a tie for first place. Is that correct? Or they'd be in first, because they'll be 7-4. Buffalo will be 6-4.
Yep, they will now be a half game ahead. So yeah,
exactly. So yeah, I mean, I'm a Colts fan today. Go Carson Wentz. Go Jonathan Taylor.
No hard feelings for Deflategate, right?
Go Carson Wentz today. I'm rooting for the Colts, but realistically speaking, I think the Bills are going to take care of business.
Is the game in Buffalo or is it in Indy?
It's in Buffalo. So I'd say 14. Yeah. I'd say in Orchard Park, I'd say it's 14-10.
So no hard feelings. So no hard feelings for Deflategate, right?
They played in the wild card round last year, back when the Colts had Phillip Rivers. That was a pretty close game. That was, I think, 27-24. Buffalo won it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping for a good one. I'm hoping the Colts can pull it off. But, yeah, realistically, like Rohan said, I would probably give the edge to Buffalo. If I had to make a score prediction, I would go with the Bills winning 24-20. But, yeah, I mean, the Colts are a solid team. They're in the playoff picture. I like Frank Reich. He and Carson Wentz do well together. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, Anirban, Ujan, just very quickly, it's like, what do you sort of hope to see? Like, pretty much the same thing, right? I mean, if the Bills lose, then the Patriots are the ones, are the, not just the division leader, they're now the 2 seed. So I think we're all supporting the Colts, right, today?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for the reasons you outlined, that's pretty clear. The Bills have been, on the record, just a really fantastic team the last few weeks. Like, their only loss recently came against the Titans in a pretty high scoring matchup.
Oh, they lost to the Jaguars, right?
And yeah, the Jaguars, which was really an absurd game in many ways. But they're also a team, I think, with a lot of depth. I mean, their running back position, like Matt Breida, came out of nowhere against the Jets, had a great game. They also, of course, have like Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. And then this year we definitely seen a lot more of a split target share away from the Stephon Diggs show of last season, a more including of like Gabriel Davis, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley. I think today it's probably, I'd give the Colts some credit. I think they've been a pretty good team. They have lost in a lot of their tough matchups against the Titans or the Rams, but they made a pretty close game. So I'll say this is also gonna be a close game, probably middle scoring given the Bills defense. So I'll say like 21-19 Bills.
The thing with the Colts is they've had like really close games, as mentioned. Like they took Baltimore to overtime. Like they had I think they had a 25-9 lead against Baltimore, like on a Monday night game, and ultimately fell short. But last year, yes, it was 27-24 against the Buffalo Bills in the wild card game, but they were down 27-10 at one point, I believe. So now you have a different quarterback. This year's Carson Wentz. Last year was Phillip Rivers. I think this is suiting Carson Wentz a little bit more. So I think it will be a close game against Buffalo. But considering it's the Bills in Orchard Park, and usually Indianapolis plays at Lucas Oil Stadium, and it's generally indoor, I like the Bills in this one. But I think it's going to be about, let's say, I'm going to go with like a 27-20 for the Bills. I just think that the Bills defense is better than the Colts defense. So, and with the Bills being at home, I like the Bills in this one, but I hope I'm wrong. I'll put it that way.
I'll be the optimistic guy here. I have the Colts winning very closely. Like I'll say 24-21. Last second field goal by I don't know who their kicker is right now. I think it's that guy on the Chargers, former Mike Badgley. Yeah, is it Mike Badgley? Okay. I don't
Oh, they
actually know
don't
who
have
the
Rodrigo Blankenship, or
I
he
think
got
he was
hurt.
injured. Yeah, so I think Badgley's now there. But yeah, I don't know. So Patriots are going to be the 2 seed hopefully after today. But yeah, that's the first matchup. Let's now go to the next one. It's going to be the Steelers and the Chargers. This is a very intriguing game. So 6 and 7 seeds on Sunday Night Football, and I'm going to be supporting the Chargers just because the Patriots have the head-to-head against them, and the Steelers with a win would actually bump the Patriots down to a 6 seed potentially as well if the Bills actually do win this game. So I'm going to be supporting the Chargers just because, yeah, for those reasons. Just I want to see the Pats. Like I think it's more beneficial for the Patriots if the Chargers come away with the win here. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts though? Does anyone want Pittsburgh to win this game?
Is Roethlisberger playing?
He is.
As a Pats fan, I would almost never want Pittsburgh to win. And in this case, it seems pretty neutral either way. It doesn't really affect the Pats' prospects either way. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna be rooting for the Chargers. But it's if I have to be honest, it's lower on my list of games of interest.
Yeah, I don't have any beef with the Chargers. I mean, being from LA and all, and also the Patriots have had a pretty good record against the Chargers in recent years, so I don't have any problem with them. And yeah, I don't want to be bumped down to the 6th seed just because if it so happens that 2 wild cards end up playing in the AFC title game, then it would certainly help to have a home field advantage. So yeah, it would help the Chargers it would help the Patriots if the Chargers win. So, and I believe in terms of the game itself, I think Justin Herbert has actually struggled a little bit in recent weeks. They lost to the Vikings last week. He didn't look great against the Pats either. So I think he has a bounce back game today. Roethlisberger's coming back from getting COVID. I don't expect him to really be at his best. The Steelers might run it a lot with Najee Harris. So yeah, I'll go with the Chargers winning 23-14.
Ujan and Anirban, your thoughts? And also just one thing, Pratik, I just wanted to interject. Even if the Patriots played the Chargers in LA, isn't that like a home game for the Patriots in the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean that's true. But I mean Gillette, especially in January, if that's a playoff matchup, Gillette in January, cold weather. I mean that's just there's something about that makes me feel good. So
I wanted the Chargers to win. I think they're going to do it. I personally have not been impressed with Pittsburgh this year. Of course, last week without Ben Roethlisberger, they get a tie against a winless Detroit. Like that's just, I mean, how can I have much trust in the Steelers after that? So let me be honest with you. But I just think that Pittsburgh's offense, like they have like they're either really good one game or they're really bad another day. And I think the same goes with their defense. Like, how do you allow like so many big plays against a winless Detroit team? Like, it was beyond me how bad that defense was playing that game. And yet Mason Rudolph was able to keep the Steelers in the game. And that's Mason Rudolph. So but the fact that the Chargers are at home, I think Justin Herbert is a better quarterback. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, there aren't. I don't know who can be worse than Ben Roethlisberger at this point, especially him after him missing one game. But you know, I like the Chargers in it. Like they've kind of had their ups and downs, but you know, they have explosive weapons like Austin Eckler at running back, Mike Williams. So I personally will go with the Chargers. I'm gonna say 27-14 Chargers.
Okay. I'll add a prediction too. I'll say Chargers win 24-20. I think it'll be a little closer. Rohan, what was your pick before we go to Anirban score prediction?
I'm gonna go with the Steelers in a squeaker. I'm gonna say 21-18.
Okay. And then Anirban score prediction?
I'll say like 20-12 or something on the Chargers. I haven't been very high on the Steelers at all this season. I guess a lot. I have a feeling this might be Big Ben's last year in the NFL, and I don't know. I mean, Justin Herbert. It does really depend on which Justin Herbert you'll get this week. Are you gonna get the one against the Patriots or against the Vikings or even against Baltimore? Or are you gonna get the one that absolutely just had a huge game against the Browns? But even then, even in those kind of poor outings, you still see like individual players on the Chargers, like Keenan Allen has gotten, like, even in the loss against Baltimore, he got 50 yards. Even against the Vikings, he got like almost 100. Austin Eckler is one of the best running backs in the league this season, probably like top 5 or something. So I don't know. I mean, well, yeah, I think it's going to be a Chargers pretty comfortably, but there are a few players on Steelers who I'm excited to kind of see do well, like Pat Fairmouth, who's a rookie tight end. I think he's been a really good red zone option for Big Ben. So I guess I'd predict him to get on the score sheet today.
Okay, sounds good. Next matchup, this is probably going to be the shortest discussion. It's going to be the Tennessee Titans, the 1 seed, versus the 1-8 Houston Texans. I mean, marquee matchup right there. Division matchup, like must-watch TV. The Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans. I mean,
well, when you build it that way, it becomes one of those you never know kind of things.
so I'm going to change this up a little bit. Will the Titans win this game by 14 points or less? Or fewer. Like, will they win by more than 14 or like 14 or fewer? So that's how I'm going to start this question.
Right. You can always buy a lottery ticket and say that Houston's going to win.
I will say the Titans lost the Jets earlier this year. And, for a team with the best record in the AFC, they have struggled to put away some of these so-called bad teams. I mean, they're like, like that game against the Jets, they lost in overtime. It was in MetLife Stadium, and you could say the Jets were due for a win.
Also, I'd just like to point out for that loss to the Jets, it was I think AJ Brown and Julio Jones were both out for that game, so they were down their 2 top receivers. But Derrick Henry was playing. Yeah, he was playing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like in the NFL, you can't take any team for granted. I mean, Buffalo lost to the Jags. The Texans have been really bad, but I will say Tyrod Taylor did have a strong first 1.5 games of the year before getting hurt, and now he's back. And I do remember even Davis Mills was decent against the Patriots in the first half, and the Texans had a lead. So, I do think the Titans are going to win. I'm not crazy, but I also think that the Texans, they'll get on the scoreboard, and it's a rivalry game. It's a division game. They're probably sick and tired of losing. The players are. Fans probably want them to lose because they want them to tank and get the best possible draft pick. And there's a whole lot of things they can do with that because they need improvement in pretty much every facet. Actually, I think quarterback they might be okay, but they have to improve the roster. But yeah, it'll be ugly. I'll go Tennessee 16-3.
Okay, so under 13. Okay, I mean, I can see that. I mean, Tennessee 16.
Yeah, it'll be ugly. Tennessee's not going to break the scoreboard or anything, but they'll score enough to win.
Reminds me of those old Patriots Jets games where the Jets were 4-12 but still pushed the Pats to very close. I don't know if you remember the 2014. It was 17-16. The Patriots won the Super Bowl that year, and they played the Jets in December, and they won that game by a point. So yeah, I mean, divisional games are always pretty. I mean, they can be closer than people anticipate just by looking at the record. So I agree with that. I'd say I think Titans will win this game probably 28-3 or something like that. No joke on the Falcons. I think it's just.
That's a score that if the Patriots are facing that, then they've got them right where they want them.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Maybe Davis Mills turns to Brady this game and then leads a comeback. But yeah, I have Titans winning 28-3 over Houston, so over the 14 points. Rohan, what's your pick?
I'm gonna have to go with. This is honestly, I'm gonna go with 10-7. I think it's gonna be a lot closer than people think because I think the Titans are gonna be underestimating Houston. Yeah, they're a bad team, but when the disparity is that high, I've seen that good teams tend to take the bad teams lightly. So I'm gonna go with go with that score line.
Sounds like a lot of turnovers, maybe.
Yeah.
Couple interceptions on each side.
Yeah. So 10-7 Titans, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anirban, Ujan, what are you thinking? Is anyone going to be brave and pick Houston?
I'll do the dirty deed. Yeah, it's obviously it would be a huge upset if they do it, but how could they do it? Well, the Texans do have pretty exciting set of receivers with Tyrod Taylor back. You see Nico Collins in particular as a rookie who I actually do generally think is a good receiver, and he's been, I think, steadily building his role in the offense. So that'll be pretty important. And I obviously AJ Brown is a player who's really had, like, I think over 400 passing yards against the Tennessee in his previous, I guess, few games. But right now, I guess the Texans, who do a zone coverage defense, actually have a new safety. Whose name I'm forgetting right now, but the point is, it's always possible. It's the football. It's just how it works. So I'll say maybe we'll have a special 12-9 performance by Houston.
Does anyone know how I can watch this Texans Titans game now? Because I'm actually starting to get very intrigued now by these predictions.
NFL Sunday Ticket is your go-to. I'll be tuning into that one. Like, I got where I'm currently located, I got the Ravens game on TV. We'll get to that shortly.
It's actually Eric Murray. That's the safety's name. He's a new safety Houston brought in, and he has this whole article about how he's going to try to contain AJ Brown today.
You know what? You've done a great job in convincing me now. I'm full on supporting the
Eric
Texans.
Murray.
Get to your local establishment and beg them to put on the Titans-Texans game and see how they react.
No, but
I know I for a fact will be getting that game locally.
Yeah, you're in Tennessee.
Ujan, what's your pick? Let's just go.
So my pick is going to be the Titans by over the 14-point margin. I personally think that I'm surprised that none of you talked about a tight end that I find underrated. That's Anthony Ferkser for Tennessee. Like, he may not be like wowing you in terms of the stats, but like, he'll make crucial catches when he needs to. And especially when the ball comes his way from Tannehill. So I think
Harvard guy. He's from Harvard, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But I think when it comes to the thing with Houston is they can play tough. I mean, of course, they took the Patriots practically all the way. I mean, and I think that was the start of the Patriots winning streak. We had no idea what to expect. I remember in that game, I didn't have any idea what to expect. I mean, 2 1-4 teams going against each other.
1-3 actually.
Or 1-3, sorry. But it's just a matter of what. And now with Tyrod Taylor back, like, you just don't know what to expect with Houston. How well is he going to play after missing so many games? So, and I actually think like Tennessee's secondary is really underrated as well. Like Kenny Vaccaro, like they showed that against the Rams in LA on national TV.
And Kevin Byard has emerged as one of the best safeties in the league this year.
Yeah, most definitely. So I'm going to go with Tennessee. I'm going to say it'll be like a 24-7 kind of game.
Okay. I mean, I got to give props to all of you because I didn't expect us to talk about this game for more than a couple minutes. So props to all of you for actually making this a good segment. Yeah, just, okay. Yeah, no. So let's see. I mean, I'll be supporting Houston even if it's unlikely, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. Any given Sunday, right? So last matchup, the Chicago Bears versus the Baltimore Ravens. So, I mean, all of us are going to be supporting the Chicago Bears here, right? I mean, Lamar Jackson is out. So Tyler Huntley, that's what you guys are saying. He's going to be starting today. So that's going to be an interesting matchup now. What's going to happen? They're also out. The Ravens also will be without Marquise Brown. So Rashad Bateman, the rookie out of Minnesota, I mean, he's been kind of playing better every week. So now does he get major targets? How is that game plan going to change at all? So that's going to be an interesting game for sure to watch. But I mean, I guess I'll say Chicago can actually win this because Justin Fields did impress me in that Monday night loss to Pittsburgh. I'm going to actually say Chicago wins this game because Lamar Jackson is out. I think Chicago wins this game 20-17 Bears. It's going to come down to a field goal late. What about you guys? Who are you picking? Are any of you
27-10 Bears.
Wow.
I think it's going to be more lopsided.
I don't believe Tyler Huntley's ever started a game before. Yeah, I mean, it's the Ravens will probably be running it a lot. I saw they also released Le'Veon Bell or something. So I think they're due for. I think Chicago's actually due for a win because they played the Steelers on Monday Night Football, and that was a pretty close game. They actually overachieved, I thought, and Justin Fields can make plays, and he is after all the top pick this year. And earlier in the year, people were joking Matt Nagy is doing his best to not let Justin Fields be good. But I think I think Rohan's 27-10 pick sounds about right. I'll give the Ravens a little bit more. I'll say 27-16. But yeah, I think Chicago will win. Like they're not a bad team. They actually made the playoffs last year with Mitch Trubisky. So yeah, I'm excited to see Justin Fields develop and maybe get a signature win or two.
Yeah, I mean, Ujan, Anirban. I know Pratik and Anirban, you guys might be able to watch this game since it's in the DC area. So that's going to be a pretty good game to tune into. I get the Bills Colts game, so I'll be tuning into that one for sure, just because of the implications. Rohan's going to be watching the Titans Texans so closely. So, and Ujan, what about you? I guess you two. What are your picks?
So I got the Ravens game on TV here. So I will say that if it does come down to a field goal, the fact that Justin Tucker can probably kick the ball from the Great Lakes and make a field goal, because I would say Baltimore, but the fact I will say that Tyler Huntley, I believe it was him who came in relief of Lamar Jackson in the divisional round against Buffalo, and I had no idea who this guy was, and then all of a sudden I just see him scrambling around, and I was like, wait, this is Lamar Jackson 2.0. What the heck is this? So I mean, he could potentially cause a problem to Chicago's defense with his legs, but at the same time, the same can be said for Justin Fields against Baltimore. And I remember back in March or so, I wanted the Patriots to draft Justin Fields, and I was pretty unhappy, admittedly, that the Patriots did not take Justin Fields. But I'm in full reversal now that I see Mac Jones having more wins than all of the rookie QBs combined. So I will hold my hands up and say I was wrong on that one.
I mean, if Fields was available at 15, I would have been totally happy with them taking him. But yeah, he didn't last that long. Everybody thought he was good.
Bears traded up to get him, right? Chicago traded up. Yeah,
they got that was number 11, and the Patriots didn't do anything at 15. So all in all, I think the fact that it's also in Chicago, and that being said, they also kept San Francisco really closely. I remember that one incredible run by Justin Fields on a 4th and 1. He just pretty much ran around the entire city of Chicago, and suddenly somehow he just got into the end zone, it felt like. So it'll definitely be a really close game. I think originally it was supposed to be Baltimore favored by a touchdown, but I'm actually going to go with Chicago by a touchdown here because, the fact that you have a new QB for Baltimore who's just essentially getting thrown into the fire here, and it's such a pivotal game for them. And don't bear in mind, Chicago is themselves looking to get into the NFC playoff picture. And after all, Chicago was a NFC playoff team last year, albeit a wild card. So I'm going to go Chicago by a touchdown. I'm going to say 24-17.
Yeah, Anirban, what are your picks?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's any game that the Bears should be feeling good about this season, it's this one. The running back situation at Baltimore has been really strange this season, and they do have players like Devontae Freeman, who I guess they'll have to rely on a lot today. But But it's, I don't know, Tyler Huntley, I guess in the few snaps, it'll be at like 12 snaps he's had in the league this year, has like a 45% completion rate, right? And you'll be throwing to Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman more or less. Mark Andrews is of course like one of the best tight ends in the league this season, probably like top 3. But like you guys said, I think I mean, if this will be a game where Justin Fields will want to show that what happened against the Steelers was not some upset. The fact that he almost led a game-winning drive late in the fourth quarter, like 75 yards. He'll want to replicate that. One thing no one's talked about yet is that Allen Robinson is ruled out for this game with, I believe, a hamstring problem. But to be honest, one of the biggest issues for the Bears this season has been a lack of chemistry between Allen Robinson and Justin Fields. And Justin Fields kind of lacking the trust to throw to Robinson in tight windows. It's really been Darnell Mooney's as the main impact. So I don't know how big of a loss that'll be. It will be a loss in coverage for sure, but it's still Darnell Mooney's, I guess, field at the moment. And David Montgomery came back last week, and of course, I think they have a pretty strong running back situation. But against Baltimore, you really have to pass the ball. They're actually, in terms of statistically, they're like probably the worst pass defense in terms of yards allowed this season. So I think this is a game where a lot of stars are aligning in Chicago's favor, and I guess at that point, from their perspective, if you don't get something out of this game today, then that raises some pretty serious questions about Matt Nagy, who has already been facing a lot of questions this year. So I'm gonna say my final prediction will be for Chicago to win like 21-6.
Okay, and I cannot believe I forgot this matchup, because this is literally going to be the marquee matchup that we're going to talk about. The last game, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know how that slipped my mind. I missed that one. But I mean, all of us are basically supporting the Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys, right? This Sunday? I mean, we have to support them, right? Because they're NFC anyways. Kansas City is a direct competitor to the Patriots in the AFC. So everyone's supporting Dallas here, right?
Well, can't root against the Cowboys unless you're a fan of the Washington football team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like either franchise, but I guess it would help the Patriots. It would help the Patriots if the Chiefs lose. So, and the Chiefs do make me nervous, even though people said they were struggling this year. I would still I am hesitant to bet.
Mahomes is still Mahomes. He's just going on a cold streak now.
Yeah, I mean, he threw 5 touchdowns.
Patriots are in the 5 seed now, and the Chiefs are in the 4 seed, so that would be the first round matchup, and that's a scary first round matchup going to Arrowhead Stadium. So I would prefer if the Chiefs slipped down the rankings a little bit.
Yes, I am. First of all, yes, I am in for Dallas. I've come across some people in my area, like a lot of football fans have got at me for wearing Patriots gear, from Ravens fans to Giants fans and even Cowboys fans, and of course Washington football team fans. So while I will tell the Dallas fan that I am on their side this game, however, considering Mahomes just came off a 5 touchdown game, that might have been the game that Kansas City needs to kick on for the rest of the season. They beat Green Bay, or Aaron Rodgers left Green Bay, but they only scored 13 points. I'm not at home too. And for a team that's hosted the last 3 AFC championship games, that's well below their standard. Let's be honest.
Oh, unless you include the Super Bowl 55 performance as their standard too, right?
Well, that is also well under their standard too. But that also being said, that was in Tampa Bay, and that was almost like an away game. So, I would say that while Kansas City pretty much has the same team as they from the last few years, Dak Prescott is pretty much a new man after coming back from his really bad injury last year. I mean, the fact that the Patriots took him all the way to overtime, I mean, albeit, and that was actually the Patriots' last defeat, that overtime loss. It was a hard-fought game. So, and Patrick Mahomes better know where Trayvon Diggs is at all times, because he'll probably catch a ball just like his brother, and he may take it to the house. So, I mean, I will say that the other thing is, I'm not sure what the weather is in Kansas City, but that seems like a formidable game, especially around this time of the year, for any team that's not used to the cold weather, considering Dallas plays in a dome, really. Because of how a high power offense both teams are, I expect this game to be like a shootout, really. So I will end up saying Dallas takes it 31-28.
I'll take it. I mean, one note, Dallas is without Amari Cooper, who tested positive for COVID. So that's going to be a big loss, but they still have CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz at tight end, Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, both terrific running backs, obviously. And they still have Michael Gallup, who's returned from injury. So they still have enough offense, I think, to keep up with Kansas City's firepower on offense. But yeah, I guess I want to see Dallas win this game. So yeah, I think it could be high scoring. I think it'll be a little less high scoring than people say. I think it'll be like a 28-24. So like, I mean, in that range, but I don't see it going into 40s or anything like that. So like nothing like 45-42 or anything like that. I think I'll go with 28-24 Cowboys upset. I mean, what about you guys? I mean, everyone's cheering for Dallas. What are the predictions?
I'd say I would say this is a game that Dallas can win. The Chiefs, I think it'll be like a tougher game than we would have thought like 4 or 5 weeks ago. So I would still say maybe like a 28-24 type of game. The Chiefs do have one of the best offensive lines in the entire league. So it's going to be a really intriguing matchup against a player like Micah Parsons, for example, on Dallas Cowboys. And of course, Trayvon Diggs leads the league in interceptions. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just too big into this Cowboys offense at this point. Like I said, they have the best like 1-2 running back punch in the league. And even without Amari Cooper, I mean, his involvement in the game has been a little more inconsistent this season anyway. And even had players like Cedric Wilson having big games, Dalton Schultz having big games. And of course, like CeeDee Lamb has also been kind of like boom bust a bit this season. But at the end of the day, I think the Cowboys offensive power is still like one of the best in the league. But that being said, I give the Chiefs a lot of credit for their kind of renaissance over the last few weeks. So that's why I think it'll be a close game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 20-24 with the Chiefs winning it. Yeah, the Dallas offense is pretty good, but Mahomes is still Mahomes. And I think the Chiefs are kind of rebounding right now. So I can't bet against them.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. I think reports of their demise were greatly exaggerated. Like they were under 500, but they're hitting a groove. Yes, Dallas is playing great, but I think this game is going to go a lot like the Week 1 Cowboys-Buccaneers game where it's going to be an absolute shootout. Both quarterbacks are going to light it up, but the team that has the ball last is probably going to hit the game-winning field goal. I'll go with Chiefs 34-33. It will be a shootout, not the result that I want, but it'll be entertainment for the neutral fans. And what more could you ask for on Sunday afternoon?
Yep, exactly. Okay, so that's going to be our coverage of all the key matchups for this week. So yeah, it was great having you guys on today, and we'll be back next weekend to preview the Patriots-Titans matchup as well. So hopefully we'll be definitely still keeping, even though with the Patriots on not playing today, we'll still be keeping tabs with the other games just to see what's going on. But until then, have a great rest of your Sunday, everyone, and we will be back next Sunday. Saturday. Yep.
Peace.
Awesome. Great. You guys.